Hey, you wild women. Tuning in from Barcelona, Spain, just on the couch this time, not on the floor, and holding the mic in my hands. So I hope this sounds okay because I just wanted to be chill today, talking about this particular topic, which is funny because I knew I was going to talk about this before I left. We're on almost 1 month in of this Worldschooling adventure. We've bought plane tickets to go travel the world with our kids. We're homeschooling them, running our businesses. We hired an incredible educator to come with us. And we set sail, or I guess they took flight, in dropping into really cool cities. This is our third city now. We did Prague and then Paris. Now we're in Barcelona, which if you've never been, this is an incredibly cool city. Now, there's a lot of mugging and stealing and pickpocketing that happens. We've been warned about this, regardless of all of the ill that potentially is in this city. Oh my God, it is so cool. And I wanted to reflect on some of the things that I've learned making our way over here, because the lessons learned are not predictable. You can't Google this or throw it into Chat GPT and say, hey, what am I going to learn? Because you don't know until you actually get in the driver's seat and do the thing. Like, people say what we're doing is the dream. And I believe that we can make it look easy. We can make it look good. We can make it look fun. But it has absolutely, hands down, been one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, especially as a mother, while also managing my business and then keeping my love alive with my husband, which actually has been the easiest thing. And here we are. And I wanted to teach you really quickly 10 leadership lessons from our first few weeks of Worldschooling and traveling the world, the hiccups, the letdowns. And finally, after almost a month, we are finally seeing the light in routine. And I'm going to share these 10 points, but I'm going to save the best one for last. So I want you to wait, stay tuned, listen to all of these steps, because you'll learn a lot as a leader of everything I've learned getting up and traveling the world, actually finding my way to Europe with the boys solo. And I want to completely flip your script and understanding what it means to be a strong leader, because they don't teach this stuff in textbooks. You kind of have to live it in order to believe it. So, number one is that your energy sets the temperature for everyone around you. When mama's nervous and mama's scared, everybody's scared, because these little kids, they look to you for how to react in certain situations. You're a mirror to their nervous system. You're the mirror to how they're going to feel, how they're going to see things, react to things, feel things, experience it. When I spiral into panic mode, so does everybody else. Missed flight, which was ironically the very first flight of our entire trip, was canceled. And that caused a massive spiral, which ended up putting us into Prague almost a day late. So what happened was we had everything beautifully organized. Everything was calculated to make sure, and we picked the specific day so that we could all have lay down to do the red eye from Vancouver to Frankfurt. No, it was supposed to be Vancouver to Munich, then Prague, because there's no direct flight to Prague from where we are. And that first flight got canceled out of Kelowna, which meant we missed our connecting flight. And it made sense logically for Dan to take that first flight in Vancouver because he was already there because he was speaking at an event. Or else it would have cost so much money to reschedule him because he was still good to go, but we weren't. So this was supposed to be an evening flight for us. So technically we could sleep on the plane. We'd wake up in Europe. And that is the ideal situation. It worked for the boys before. They were able to sleep on flights. But we got rescheduled to a flight in the morning that went from Vancouver to Halifax. And then the flight from Halifax, which was 6 hours, I think, maybe a little bit less, maybe 5.5, which brought us into Germany in the morning. But no one could sleep on these flights because it was our daytime. It's our circadian rhythm. So then when we got to Europe, we were forcing ourselves to stay awake. I had a little nap. The boys did too. And then it took us almost an entire week to even moderately catch up on sleep. Like we've done this flight before or this flight path before, but it was never this gnarly because we had the flight that was our sleep time and we wake up in Europe. It's like the ideal situation. Anyway, when all this stuff was happening and a first flight got canceled, I'll never forget the boys looking up at me and those eyes like, okay, mama, what do we do next? Like they're ready to just do whatever it is. And they weren't bothered by it. They weren't upset. And inside I was like, oh my gosh, I have to handle this all by myself. What do I do? And they looked to me and I knew in that moment, that was like the first big lesson that still holds true to today. When crap hits the fan and you're the leader, everyone turns to look at you at how you're going to reacting. Kind of like a flight that reaches some level of turbulence. We all look up at the flight attendants, like they experience this a lot. So if they're panicking, I should be panicking because this is unusual for them. And it was like, this was a turbulent situation. And when they were looking at me, that was when I knew I needed to put on my leadership hat. And I said, let's go, baby. We're going to figure this out. So self-regulation is the number one trait of a great leader. And if you're a mother, you're a leader. If you're a business owner, you're a leader. So I knew in these moments that I had to self-regulate, even if it meant locking myself in a bathroom in 20 minutes and crying and screaming. I just couldn't show that weakness in front of them in that moment when all they were looking was for a glimmer of hope. So that was number one. Lesson number two is that leadership isn't holding it all together, because I lost my crap sometimes. It's knowing what to let fall apart. Because no good leader can just hold it all together all the time. But there were moments when it's okay to let something fall apart. But when everything's on fire, you learn fast. You save the people, not the plane. The plane is going down. You put your oxygen mask on first and you save everybody else around you. And as you escape the plane, you don't take your personal belongings with you. Save the people, not the plan. And in this moment, what I learned was saving our sanity, our nervous system, not what we thought was the perfect plan, because clearly we couldn't when our flight got canceled. And this also meant we stayed in some Airbnbs that had really bad Wi-Fi, and we relied on those locations to work, to homeschool, because the boys were doing online learning, for me to take calls, to coach my people. And it meant, we got to quickly navigate, find co-working space, go work from a coffee shop, whatever it meant. It means like, we got to figure this plan out fast. So I knew to let go of the perfect itinerary to save everyone else's sanity, including mine. For instance, even like and I gave up like the idea of the perfect Instagram feed. I told myself before I left, I was like, I'm going to be better at Instagram stories and sharing reels and posts of my journey. But where I really found myself in all of this the last 3 and a bit weeks was in being present. My phone has been put away more than anything I've ever experienced in a month because I'm in it. I went this morning with just Dan to go and see the Sagrada Familia, which is an architectural marvel in Barcelona by this guy named Antoni Gaudi. And actually we're pretty close to one of his locations, I think his home. And what a beautiful architecture. But anyways, I let go of the idea of sharing all these beautiful things on social media because what meant more for me was capturing those moments in photos and videos. And that's why we had the media team come in, but really being present. And that meant more connected family beats and less checked boxes. See, the best leaders know which fires to fight and which ones to just let burn. And I knew that our kids were not going to subscribe to some of the culinary cuisine here in Europe. And we found alternatives that are probably healthier anyway. But it's still in line with the food that they like to eat. And I'm not going to fight that battle. I'm not going to say, hey, they're going to eat mussels and Mediterranean lobster dishes and whatever the Barcelona tapas things are. Like I knew they weren't going to, and I wasn't even going to battle that battle. So sometimes they ate McDonald's. Oh my God, such a disgrace. They ate McDonald's while we're in Europe. But guess what? They were happy. Fed, arguably. I don't know. It's not really food. But anyways, I was not going to subscribe to the perfect rhythm, to the perfect Instagram feed. Now, number 3 is the leader who can't pivot is the first to break, right? So we had these beautiful plans and they didn't work out. That's okay. The canceled flight taught me that rigid leadership snaps, that flexible leaders bounce. We bend. We're pliable. We can adapt to a new situation. We had backup plans for our backup plans. But more importantly, I had the mindset to actually use them and the mindset to understand that, hey, this is not what we planned and that's okay. We will pivot. You see, every ruined day became an unexpected adventure when I actually stopped white knuckling the original version. Your ability is to adapt as a leader is your competitive advantage in business and in life. Number 4 is systems create freedom, not restriction. I know so many of us don't want to create systems or procedures or ways of doing things because we think it's like we got to just constantly do things according to those systems, those procedures, those rules, and we can't bend from them. But what it actually does for you is it creates freedom in so many ways. But for the point of this discussion, it was about good logistics. Taking the time to create great logistics in our travel created space for magic. And I'm talking about organizing private drivers at airport to pick us up to and from. We do like a lot of sightseeing stuff, but we hate doing them in big groups. We would rather do private sightseeing because we like to go fast. So for business sake, this is like the structure that enables creativity. For us in traveling, that meant like pre-packed bags of snacks and water bottles so that there's no angry meltdowns. And this allowed for way more spontaneous gelato runs because it's the best in the world over here. Having things like train apps downloaded, ready to go. Like there's one, I forget what it's called. It's like City Maps was the best thing. It helped us navigate the city, even like connecting with people who lived in these cities or who already live here to understand what is the fastest way to get around. So in Barcelona, Uber sucks and they have alternatives. I actually found that hailing a cab on the side of the road is the quickest way to get around. And I would have known that had my friends not told me. Also, they have great Lime bikes around here. So those are fun to use. But often people stop themselves from actually creating these systems and these procedures because it's really boring back-end work that takes some time. But you set it up once right, then you don't have to do it again. And this creates that capacity for brilliant front-end moments because you have space. Like last night, last minute, Dan's like, I'm done work at 6. Let's get some Lime bikes and let's go down to the waterfront, walk along the beach, go grab some tapas and come home. And I'm like, heck yes. So we worked with Kinsey, our traveling educator, to make sure that the boys were fed and everything was great at home. And Dan and I just took off. And we got home at like 8 p.m. and it was the most magical evening. I had so much fun. I had probably some of the best scallops I've ever had in my life. Number 5 is people follow leaders who admit that they don't have all the answers. You might say something like, I don't know, but we'll figure this out together, builds more trust than false confidence. And also false confidence just puts way more pressure on you to get it right all the time. But if you can admit and not knowing how to do it, that puts faith in, like people put faith in you that, oh, hey, this person isn't perfect. He's not a martyr. She's not a martyr. She also can't figure it all out all the time. But hey, we can figure this out together. I learned, and I saw this, that my kids learned to relax when I stopped pretending to know where we were going, why we were going there, and simply just asked for help. And by showing them how to do things, my kids started doing that themselves too. Perfect example, I was in Paris with just Max, and we went out for dinner, and I asked the guy for the bill, and it took him a while. And I think he forgot, and we're sitting there ready to go. Max wanted to go to bed. And I was doing something. I was on my phone. I don't know what I was doing. I was preoccupied with something. And Max looked at me and he's like, Mama, I'll go ask him. Okay, he's 13, yes, and I'm fully capable of doing this. But I still see it today where kids don't have the confidence to go up to the server to say, hey, could we get the check, please? He just did it himself. He got up and waved the guy down and said, hey, we need the check. And then the guy came right away. So I know these were like micro moments of him gaining confidence and feeling the ability to be able to do that himself. He just knew what needed to get done. But anyways, because I didn't know the answer in that moment of how to get the guy's attention, I was busy. Like I was ordering an Uber. I can't remember, but it was something that required my attention in that moment. And he just took it upon himself to go and do it. He figured it out. In these moments of vulnerability, it's like it almost creates a connection point. It's like perfection in a way creates distance because it also creates this illusion of everything having to be so much fun all the time. But vulnerability creates more space for magic. And magic is really in the unknowing, right? You can't plan for magic. Magic is, it happens and it's unbelievable. And that's really what we're trying to do. In the moments when things sucked and it felt like I was failing, I would say to the boys, hey, I don't know how to solve this problem, but let's figure this out together. And I kept doing that. For instance, this building has keys, like actual physical keys to get in the building. There's 2 doors to get in the building and then the door to get into our place here. And they're old keys, but they're not old keys as in they're 100 years old. They're old designed keys, but they're new keys, if you know what I mean. For some reason, the key to our unit is really persnickety. It's really hard to get it in the right angle and actually open the door. And I could not figure it out the first time. And when I turned to Max at one point, I said, okay, bud, you're better at this than me. Why don't you own it every time we're together? And he said, absolutely. And what I learned in these moments was that every single time I gave them the power to control a situation or to figure something out, like problem solve, was them learning a life lesson and a life skill. So we're world schooling the boys, sure, but there's opportunities for your kids to learn every second of the day, whether it's at home on the weekends. We just don't give them oftentimes the space or the confidence to do it themselves. So number 6 is your smallest habits become your biggest anchors in chaos, in jet lag, in those busy seasons of life. My 30-minute morning routine of journaling, reading, having a coffee are the 3 things I need to anchor me regardless of being in Prague or Paris or Barcelona. It's a gentle reminder I'm safe, I'm me. This might be a new environment, but I'm still me and I have my routine, and it really helps me anchor, especially on days post-travel. These micro rituals, they remind me and they'll remind you of really what's underneath it all, and especially when there's constant movement. So if you're in the busy season of work, or you're launching, or you're traveling, or you're moving, or whatever is causing chaos in your life, that 30 minutes, or maybe it's 10 minutes for you, is what you need to ground yourself. And as a leader, you are the most responsible person in grounding and creating that regulation, especially for the environment that you're in as a mother and as an entrepreneur. These need to be non-negotiable habits so that you can lead yourself before you can lead anyone else. And the biggest thing for us that shows up as an anchor, as an example, and as a thing we have to do is to sweat every day. Even if it's a crappy workout, if it's a jet lag workout, even if you show up to the gym and you end up doing 30 air squats and maybe a couple curls, it is in the going that is the enough. It's that ritual, it's that routine of showing up. And it was a game changer for me with jet lag, but also mindset. I was still just gyrating. My nervous system was so over the top after our week in Prague because it was such a bad week. In terms of jet lag, and the kids could not get any homeschooling done because they were tired and it was just so much. And it was going to the gym. It was running. It was walking. It was getting my sweat on, moving my body. That was the biggest thing to just bring me back into myself. Worked like a charm every single time. Number 7 is leadership is being the calm in someone else's storm. My kids had not only daily spirals and meltdowns, but multiple meltdowns a day. because their nervous system's out of whack. Their circadian rhythm is out of whack. They don't have their friends. It's a new environment. We're now in our third Airbnb, or no, fourth location, because we also stayed in a hotel for a bit. It's so these changing environments means changing energy, means packing up and unpacking and all this stuff. And it's very unsettling, but it's also the point of us traveling because it is uncomfortable. And it is the most exquisite life lesson in being able to come back to yourself and regulate your nervous system when everything around you is chaotic. But I noticed this in those moments where they were just fighting the learning, like just screaming, literally running and like jumping in, like just pounding the pillow. I'm not doing school today. I hate it. This sucks. The more I could stay calm in that storm, the more I could just be at ease and not actually feed the fire and just be that calmness in that environment, the easier it was for things to just become steady. It wasn't instant. But when they learned that they weren't going to get anything out of me, when they learned that they weren't going to make me mad or change my environment for me, they gave up. They're like, she's not going to cave. I'm done. I'm so exhausted. I hate fighting. And that's like the best leadership, is when your team might be spiraling, something happened and they look to you and maybe they're mad at you, or they're like, how come you're not fixing this? How come you don't have the solution to this? You can just stay steady and calm. It's the best leadership advice. And it's also the best leadership skill to have. Like I've witnessed this, especially with my husband, like giving him props and being with us. He even said this the other day. It is the most amount of time he's had with his kids all at once in all of their lives. So in the 13 years of being a parent, it's the most he's actually committed to being with them. Like every afternoon, even in the mornings, he's been taking one of the boys to go and do co-working together. He works, writes his book, does his stuff, and one of the boys sits next to him and gets work done because they often need help. And he was just saying that it's the most he spent with them, and which I love about it. He's finally understanding why it could be really taxing on my nervous system. But I've never seen him maintain so much calm in the chaos than I have on this trip. And he taught me this too, that if you seem unbothered by someone else's probably overreactive reaction to something, it's tough, but it's also teaching that person a lesson that maybe it's not that big of a deal. And it helps calm them, right? Regulated nervous system helps calm them. What I also learned is that we didn't need solutions for every tantrum. We just needed to create a safe space for the kids to feel their emotions. My regulated presence gave them the permission to feel their feelings without drowning in it and to kind of just let it go through them. We noticed that if we're trying to like stop it right at the spiral, right when they have all these emotions trying to come out, we're trying to just tell them to be quiet, don't let it out, makes it worse. But if you can kind of just sit with them and let them feel their feelings, they often come back with remorse sometimes because they say nasty things. They're teenagers. And then they say, I'm sorry. I hate when that happens. And they can start to self-regulate, just knowing we're not there to judge or shame. You see, sometimes leadership is just being the one person who isn't losing it when everyone else around you is losing it. Number 8 is your worst moments become your best teaching lessons. Every disaster is tomorrow's case study in resilience, and my resilience has gone through the roof. We had something pretty gnarly happen to us here in Barcelona that I can't talk about just yet, but it is one of those moments where after it happened, Dan looked at me and he's just like, I am so shocked at how you are taking this. I thought for sure we'd be going back to the Airbnb and buying our plane ticket home. Everyone's okay. No big deal. Literally at the end of the day, nothing really happened, but it did. And I can't wait to talk about it. And there's part of me that was like reflecting on this thing that happened, kind of like, is just adrenaline that's still pumping through my body after like a few days, after a week? I'm not bothered by it. I'm more cautious, but I'm like, all those years of practicing resilience is really caught up to me now that a thing can happen or somebody can say something mean to me or be offended by something pretty vague that I said, and I'm not reactive to it. Like, a couple comments on my Instagram the other day about something that I said. And like, at the end of the day, my goal isn't to offend people. It's actually to inspire people, which I know the more loud we are with our opinions, the more people we will offend. That's kind of the point, because being offended is just me holding up a mirror to them. But some of the comments I'll keep, some of them I'll reply to. And if there's ones that I'm like, I don't really care about this person or this comment was extremely rude, I just delete them. And if it's that bad, I'll block them. It's that simple. And then it's gone. But I always screenshot because I'm like, I gentle reminder of who this person is coming into my life. I protect my energy, the energy of the people I love, and the energy of my community. So people like that are not invited into my coaching programs or my events. This isn't a threat at all. I'm just saying you have the permission to protect the energy of your environment by not letting certain people or ideas or beliefs into it. And sometimes that's what makes the best leader. Okay, so number 9 is progress beats perfection every single time. And I've kind of alluded to this in understanding like my progress in resilience and being the calm in the chaos, being the calm in the storm. But really, this is about moving forward with messiness, because this teaches you more. Moving forward messily, is that even a word I want to say? Moving forward, despite how imperfect it is better than standing still in perfection. Because waiting for perfection, which is also just a lie, means you're procrastinating, means you're scared of something and actually doing. But how about just going forward and letting it be messy? Letting it be what it is, letting it be something you didn't expect, but just letting it create its own course. What about that? Sometimes a great leader just lets that happen. We took like wrong trains, we took wrong routes to certain locations, but we ended up becoming better at navigating, and we actually ended up discovering better destinations. Imperfect action has given us stories, so many stories. I could say like some of the best stories, this is crazy. For my kids, it's like they've gone to some pretty awesome things. They've experienced some really cool activities. In Paris, we went to Disney. In Prague, they did like all these cool things. And in Barcelona, they're doing a immersive Barcelona football experience. And when I asked them, hey guys, what has been your greatest memory so far on this trip? They said the night they found some random jaggedy football soccer field in Barcelona, and they started playing with Dan, the two of the boys, and then a couple guys from the media team, and it started pissing down rain. And it was hard rain, raining buckets, and they were out there caught in the rain, soaking wet, giggling and laughing and splashing in the water. Now, when I saw the video of this, immediately I thought, because I wasn't there, oh my gosh, I have so many shoes to dry. Then I'm like, this is a core memory unlocked right here. It's messy, and it's kind of like a perfect kind of messy. So the goal isn't to avoid mistakes. The goal isn't to stay dry all the time. It's to make things more interesting. It's to make the day in a life more interesting. Because if you just keep doing the same thing, like you have nothing to talk about, right? As a podcaster, as somebody on social media, I have less to talk about if I'm not actually living my life and failing and losing things and missing flights. It's like, it's all the point. It's all the point. Okay. Are you ready for the last one? Finally, maybe my favorite. I don't know. They're all good, but this one is number 10. Vulnerability and authority aren't opposites. They're actually partners, and they're the same thing. They come together, authority and vulnerability. This is what I mean. I cried in the airport bathroom, but I still led with confidence. Despite my misty eyes coming out and like my boys seeing me when our flight was canceled, like they knew I cried. They didn't ask. They were actually they had more empathy towards me because they knew I was trying to hold it all. And I was just really vulnerable in that moment. And I understood that it wasn't canceling the fact that I was being a leader to these boys. It was just showing them I'm human. It was just showing them that, hey, baby, this affected me too, but I got it. We're okay. Just let me be. It also teaches them how they can react next time when they're faced with something that's challenging. They saw me struggle, but here's the thing. They also saw me recover. That's kind of like the full leadership structure and picture. Is a leader is a one that goes first into battle. They see the opportunity on the other side and they're like, it's going to suck to get there, but we will if you trust my plan. And it might not be perfect. We could fail, but I want to be open with you and vulnerable. And with the boys, I said, hey, babe, I know this will work out. We'll eventually get to Europe, but we're probably going to be really tired when we get there. Do you trust me? And they said, yeah. Admitting that when something is hard or difficult or when you can't figure something out, it allows you to kind of let other people make these mistakes too or feel overwhelmed by things. But it created space for everyone else to be human too. Like I see bit by bit, every little day, there's like a micro dose of resilience that's growing in my kids. They're turning into leaders because they're seeing how we navigate the world. We're being the example for them. True authority comes from being real, not from being right. If you made a mistake and you own up to it, that's like the most commendable thing ever. Like I see this all the time now with my kids more so than I see it myself, but sometimes I'll say something out of anger or frustration, and then I'll come back to it later and I'll say, listen, I'm really sorry for what I said. It's not acceptable. But in that moment, I was just like, I was overwhelmed. Or somebody, forgets a pair of shoes at the hotel, a pair of running shoes. And instead of trying to hide it when we're like, hey, Noah, where are your running shoes? He said, I think I know where I forgot them at the hotel. I'm so sorry. That is okay. Because now it's like, I'm not going to get mad at him because getting mad is not going to change anything. I'm like, that's okay, babe. Are you cool wearing Crocs for the next, few days? We'll find new shoes when we get to Europe. So the vulnerability and the authority go together because authority is about establishing, like being the alpha and the lead and creating a safe space, a trusting space for people to want to follow. But they also have to see the real side, like the whole picture in order for them to be a full believer. Because the winners and the warriors and the leaders aren't ones that haven't failed before. They're actually the ones that failed the most, but pick themselves up and keep going. So these are my 10 lessons of starting our traveling with the kids for the Worldschooling that I learned about leadership, that I've brought not only in my day-to-day for myself with my kids, but in my marriage, which is insane how much we've grown even the last 3 weeks. And allowed me to be a better leader for my team. Now, if you have any questions about this, as always, please hit me up on Instagram, Renee_Warren. Or if you want to be in a room with other women who are also leading, you have to come out to the Pink Skirt Project Summit, which is happening July 9th and 10th in Kelowna, BC.